obviously didn't have our AC on until yesterday and need to order more Freon. So sorry, did not expect how warm it would be today. So hopefully you'll get a nice breeze from the door. Thank you for all coming. This is super exciting to be able to do this walkthrough. We have Noah Treffeline,
You got it, yeah.
In conversation with Colleen Barry for her show, ICONOPHILIA. The show is up till April 25th, so if you know anyone who maybe messages you after realizing they haven't come and they're sad, you can come through the 25th. And please, if you're not already on our mailing list, we have a book back there so you can get updates on everything else that Colleen does in the next, 10 to 15 years. So.
I like that.
I'm going to leave it to you guys because you're the experts.
Yay, thank you, Erin.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Noah.
Yeah, thank you, Colleen. Just briefly, who am I and why am I here? I am a painter based in Brooklyn, and Colleen has been so gracious over the years to be a sort of mentor figure, to answer all of my nerdy and theoretical questions about painting, what's in a Bosch, etc. And so we've kind of developed that relationship as we've gone on, before I even started painting too. So I appreciate being here.
Very talented artist. Please look him up.
Thank you.
Pen Keeper. That's easy to remember.
Yeah, easy to remember.
The Keeper of Pens.
There we go. Yes.
He's having a show in Brooklyn as well.
Yes, I have a show up in Brooklyn right now, which kind of resonates with what's going on here. And apart from maybe a technical relation, I'm also anxious about some of the same things Colleen is anxious about. What's at stake with painting today? Why are we making images when, what is at stake with images right now in the face of maybe an anxiety over what images are real or not real? What's the contemporary art world doing that we hate or kind of like? Things like this. So maybe you can start off by telling us what the title of the show is and why it's named
I love
this.
The title, and I didn't know that this would be the title until maybe 3 months ago or 4 months ago when I was writing a Substack about iconoclasm. Because you know that word, and we're all familiar with it, and I was writing a Substack about what would be iconoclasm in 2026, right? And so I Googled what's the opposite, or I ChatGPT'd what's the opposite of iconoclasm, and it said iconophilia, and I had never heard that word before. And when I did some research into the meaning of that word, I fell in love with the word iconophilia and the meaning wrapped around it, and everything that I want as an image maker is in the meaning of this word. And the word basically means the adoration and trust of images. Right, but there's also a worshiping component, right? So it's I guess there's a dual meaning there. But if we just kept it non-religious, you could say it's the trust and love of images, right? And it is very much tied to the Catholic tradition. I mean, my paintings aren't, but it does have a history with the Catholic Church.
Right. You use the word submission to as well, which does have religious connotation, but not which maybe it is religious.
Many words surrounding art have religious connotation because art has always been connected to religion. And I think that for me as an image maker in 2026, I found that I'm suspicious of images, and even more so now with AI. And I know this from my children too. My kids love to decode. It's like a badge to decode if something's AI. Mommy, look, see right here? This is AI. Look, it only has 3 fingers or whatever. Or there's too much sinew on a horse, on the subway. That looks fake, So there's this suspicion in our culture now, which is automatic. I mean, we're not even thinking about it, but when you know something's AI, don't you feel a little bit oh, whatever. It's like a negation. It's like you're bored. There's something that's not life-giving there.
Yeah. Well, there's a suspicion of images that's even an older one, which is there was a moment in time when the church and even Islam today doesn't allow images of certain things because it is a false imitation, if you will.
Exactly.
So this is kind of actually, this is something I was mentioning is how old is this problem of whether we're worshiping the image or submitting to painting versus distrusting it, and maybe we thought we were modern by saying we overcame the anxieties of what images mean. I mean, the images on Facebook that my grandmother reposts with 5 million likes of Jesus, saving a donkey, that AI made, right? So images still are being worshipped and circulated, right? Which maybe is what's at stake with painting perhaps today is that there is a sort of conquest of images still to be had. Maybe?
Exactly, because the thing with AI is like you can generate an image so fast that the meaning that's lost in it is that there is no challenge on the part of the maker who generated it, right? Like, so you can think of all the hours it takes a painter to make a painting, right? All the suffering and the anxieties and all this. And AI, one of the reasons why I think I distrust AI, not that, listen, if I had to use AI to like, if I put in an image that I made and said, can you help me like change the color of the sky? I don't mind AI in that way. It's just the bombardment of being a New Yorker and the subway ads and the screens and the, so I'm actually not a hater of AI. I use ChatGPT every day. So I really am not a hater of AI.
Okay,
but I'm just saying that there's this suspicion in images now as an image maker that I feel, and I at times am confused as to what an image maker is supposed to do today.
Right.
But there's another component to it, which is that with the rise of modernism and postmodernism, I felt, you guys, when I was studying art, I felt I was so naughty. I was doing all the things you weren't supposed to do. I was being reverential. I was painting the female nude. I was feeling feelings of love and deep adoration, but I was doing it in secret as if it was like something you'd be chastised for, right? Because representational art for many years was not in fashion. It's coming back now, thankfully. But so you get what I'm saying, right? Like there's there's layers of suspicion, even within your own picture making, but in the culture at large.
For sure.
So iconophilia is really, it's such a loaded word, and actually would take, I would say, my whole lifetime to honor the word in painting.
There's another related anxiety here. I think that's maybe a good place to move on to, which is like what does the painting do? What does the image do versus maybe in contemporary art world what the press release is saying something is doing, right? And so maybe you could talk to us about, which could be an anxiety between narrative and painting, perhaps, like illustration and painting. Like the illustration is supposed to be making clear the thing that is happening, while painting maybe is supposed to be a little more nebulous. How do you navigate when you're creating images, both this distrust and anxiety over representational stuff with what that representation is supposed to be doing for you?
Great question. But I would say that you guys, if you look at, I'll just keep it centered on me, but when I look at ancient art, I don't have to have a debate about it. It can have its way with me, and I can have awe or I can have disgust, but it's, I don't need to read a plaque. If I see Egyptian art, if I see ancient Greco-Roman art, or ancient African masks at the Met, I don't need the plaque, okay? But something happened with postmodern art where the plaque became very essential with like the understanding of what painting is supposed to do or say. So when I started reading Camille Paglia like 3 or 4 years ago, Camille Paglia is a critic and writer who's out of Philadelphia. She's in her late 70s now. If you don't know her, if you don't know who Camille Paglia is, I'm sorry to say you are not like hip with the trend right now, okay? Right?
Sure.
No,
Your trend, yes.
If you want to be like part of some kind of zeitgeist that's happening now, go get yourself some Camille Paglia. Sexual persona, you can start with that. But when I started, I'm late to her. I'm late. I only started 3 or 4 years ago, thanks to Will. But she says, she keeps reiterating, awe predates critique. Awe predates critique. You don't need an explanation for the painting, right? But for me to do that, and this is very hard, and I think that the masters do this, you know, the great painter masters from Picasso to Titian, is that they rely on pictorial skill. Now, skill has also been thought of as kind of a demeaned word, right? Yeah. But craft and skill are returning. And it is one of the ways to get the painting to lord over you, right? As a human being and as a receiver of information. So I think that that's another problem, is that people are like, should I really learn the craft of painting? Oh my God. But if you do, awe, in many cases, can really, you know, the sense of being engulfed by something. Right. But that's for representational art. There's other types of art, of course.
Yeah. And there's also skill in other types of art.
And there's other skill.
Right. Yeah. Right. No. Totally. So maybe we can start talking about each painting now that we know what we're anxious about.
Yeah, and we're only going to do an hour because you guys, I just can't believe how hot it is. So let's make sure we're like keeping track. Okay, so we have like, 40 minutes.
We can be brief. Okay, tell us the title of this work. what's going on. You said it was the hardest to finish too.
Yeah,
not just because it's big.
So I started this 3 years ago, but then I worked on it little bits and pieces. It sat there unfinished for almost 2 years. And then when I was making all these paintings, I would like dabble on it and then paint on the other paintings. But this was the first like breakthrough work of mine where I'm not a surrealist, but I felt like I was entering into surrealism, but I never even used the word. I'd never even thought, oh, this could be a surrealist picture. I just thought that if I didn't have these figures here, these larger figures, without the small figures, the larger figures felt really alone and too singular. You add the smaller figures, and it just so happens that the small figures are male, and the large figures are female, and the small figures are green, and the large figures are yellow. That while I was making it, the meaning was unfolding slowly over time. Right.
Yeah.
And everyone can have a different interpretation. What's your interpretation? Let's just say. I won't say what it is. But
I mean, I don't really have one because it's kind of just giving me awe. I'm not really.
You're just trying to please me.
No, I don't. I think that's something. Maybe something that works about a lot of your paintings is like there's a pictorial fact that is happening that is imposing upon me in a way. Right. And I don't need to. I'm not really interested in like maybe these are all the same world that they exist in or not, but it doesn't really matter to me.
It doesn't matter, and it is kind of like a dreamscape. But if I was to explain it, I'm not supposed to explain it, right? But I'll explain it, I guess.
Sure,
But I was thinking when I was making it that these figures are this unknown Dionysian nature thing that fucks with our heads. We don't know when we're going to die. We don't know who. We don't know anything, right? And it's just this monumental presence of, and the Dionysus is supposed to be a feminine force,
Wonderful.
right?
Yeah.
And the Apollonian, which is the small figure, and they're mostly male, are like the organizing principle of society. And these guys are like surveying or witnesses to something larger. They're trying to understand something larger. See, I already feel like it's demeaning the picture to say this.
Right.
But this is kind of like my playful way of thinking, what does this painting mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe this is also answering the question, like, what does the painting do? And it is just the only thing it's doing maybe is being a playground for the things you're thinking about. And maybe that's all that is important, perhaps.
I think that's all that is important.
Right.
I would say for anyone working representational, and maybe this is something you already know, but really you don't have to have answers. You can make the whole work with questions. Right. You don't really have to have answers, and that is a good place to be.
Because there's an urge to be be political and say I can change the world through painting, which I don't know if I can change the world through painting. Right.
And if I said I actually have no idea what this painting means, then that's fine.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what if we're gonna do this whole awe predates critique thing.
Sure.
It's okay if you don't know what your painting means.
Well, sometimes it's also good. Like a lot of the reason Caravaggio works, for instance, is that there can be questions asked. Right. You can ask like, what are these figures doing? Why are they circling around her bum, etc. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you want to leave questions.
100%. Yeah. I think also, so I'm also trying to weave in technical acknowledgments a little bit.
That's a good idea.
And there's something I really like about the way you paint, which I've totally stolen, which is this blend between like up here, what is like at once a stroke of paint but is also defining to the form in a way. It's just a line that is so good. It's so filled with information, and you've really pulled back from maybe atelier land of like not you leave these little impostas and these strokes. Why this renunciation of some realism?
Well, I've always, if you're a realist, like I was trained, you have a set boundary, a contour that you fill in, right? And I still transfer, like all of these were pretty much done with transfers, right? So they all have a linear component. But this one, I transferred from an oil painting. I didn't transfer it from a photo.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So it was already a small painting, and all I had to do was mimic the painterly touch. So it was like a double painting in a sense. Like the small gave me the feeling of what I was going for. And then I had some photos for like the perspective of the head just to look at, but I never projected a photo for this. So it stayed in its symbolic place. So that meant that every brushstroke I put down wasn't registered to like follow a photograph.
I see. Yeah.
So it seems like when you don't have, maybe these are more photographic, they're more beholden to the reference. But this one, I felt that every stroke I put was a symbolic stroke. It was it was kind of representational because I was trained that way, but it was freed at moments to just be whatever it wanted to be. Like if it wanted to stop at being a little squiggle or a little line, it could just stop. You know.
Yeah.
So
Which is quite it's exciting.
Maybe it's it's looser, let's just say, but it does have a more expressive feel.
For sure. Okay, let's.
This she-wolf here.
I can take if you want.
Well, I'll just say quickly, it was done from a Ravenna, a picture. I think I just put it on my Substack or on my Instagram stories today. I'll just show you what the reference was. I completely made it up, basically. But this is the reference from the Ravenna mosaics, which is really beautiful. But I just basically took it and just scribbled some orange on a green background, and I just made it up. I don't know. I think if you have some great references on your Pinterest folder, and you start with an abstract shape, and you have enough sense of drawing because you've drawn, then you can just make stuff up.
Right.
So that's fun.
Right. Cool.
But the she-wolf is always a fun subject matter for mothers, right?
Yeah.
Because, especially a mother of two. Where's Liz?
Yeah.
I think, okay. Anyway.
Okay, so now we're seeing something different than the first two, which is there's these two images not being collaged, but and not being interspliced, but just kind of.
Wait, these two?
Oh, I guess this is collage, but there's this other.
Yeah.
It almost seems like this is a different picture plane, if you will, but they all can be in the same world too. So what?
Oh, this is the split screen.
Yeah, the split.
And those are split screen.
Right. So why that is not your invention? That has a history, right?
Yeah, that has a history.
And so what is compelling about
because
that?
Sometimes to make a picture like this,
where
everything has to connect, is so hard.
Yeah.
It's easier to just say I have one picture and I have another picture. I'm just going to sandwich them together.
Totally.
It's arbitrary, just bringing together, and it's so freeing.
Yeah.
I know artists like Izzy Wood does this. A lot of artists work this way, and it's really just an easier way to make a picture.
Why didn't Caravaggio do this?
Good question.
I don't know.
Well, maybe when they put two canvases together, it's kind of like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Totally.
And then this is an Eros angel with some dogs. This is paintings called fugue, which is I think fugue is a musical term for repetition, but it also has a meaning of escape. And I feel like when you put these little stickers on, like the dogs over there, or anytime you escape out of this stoic world, it's just a nice picture making tool of just getting out of this, stillness. Let's just say.
Yeah, and there's something. So is this a grisaille?
So
explain what that is.
Any painting that's green is painted over a raw umber and white grisaille.
So it's basically black and white, underpainting with just values, and you're adding all the color on top.
And just adding color, and the canvas was neutral, so it was really easy to just put one pass of green on top without.
And you'll be able to look and see in certain moments there is just the gray sticking out where you kind of just randomly leave it, and that has a function of popping the colors, the gray,
for
right?
Sure.
Yeah.
The neutralizer is amazing, whereas this painting is all yellow. The primer is yellow, very vibrant yellow.
Yeah.
So this one and Origo, anything that's really bright is actually coming from underneath.
Right.
Whereas this has a subdued base. So it just brings the mood down.
Yeah, and you said you made this comment, and we can move on to the next one after this. But you made a comment that it felt like the two your ébauche, which was the colorful underpainting, and the grisaille were almost like two different painters were doing it. Is that an do you have a favorite now? Do you want to do?
No, I
You're
don't
going to do both.
Favorite.
You're going to keep doing both.
Yeah,
okay.
So I do my process is either I do an ébauche, which is this, on a colored ground, or I do a grisaille on a neutral ground.
Yeah, totally.
Does the subject decide what?
It will. If I wanted to make a bigger she-wolf like that, like this one, if I wanted to blow that up, I would probably work on, because if there's more darks in the painting, I'd work on a grisaille. Right. Whereas if it's a more luminous painting, I'll tend to work on yellow grounds.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, and then we have these two smaller ones you can maybe talk about at the same time, and something also. There's a lot of cropping going on, that is not Caravaggio didn't really crop things. The whole figure is inside of the frame. Why go cropping in the way that you do? Yeah.
Tight cropping is also another way to escape having to the demands of having to make a picture like that.
Yeah.
That's tight crop too.
Yeah.
But when you tight crop it, you're just forced into the space with the thing that you're painting, and it just makes it look more modern. It looks more fragmented. It just gets you in faster. I don't always do it, but in this case with this woman, I cropped her toe out. And it makes it feel more intimate.
Totally.
If there's more space around the image, it sometimes isolates the image at a distance. And then the minute you just like chop, Seville does this. Jenny Seville. I mean, she's the one that really showed me that you can just tight crop.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a portrait, you just, just chop top of the head off.
Yeah.
So this is Grace Jones with the Janus head. A kind of just collision of modern and ancient worlds, kind of on the nose, but like I just thought, oh, this is very elegant. I like this because she's like such an icon. And then you have the Threshold god, the Janus god, and even if you didn't know it was Janus, whatever, they just work. It almost looks like a scarf.
Exactly.
Yeah, it has a fashion aspect.
Totally. And a technical question on this: you paint flesh and stone in a different manner. It appears.
Right.
How are you going about doing that, and maybe why?
Cast drawing at GCA.
For sure.
I studied at Grand Central Atelier. Well, back then it was Water Street Atelier, but we just did cast drawing for so long that this is easy. Give me a cast. Or if you want to make the figure look more stone, I mean, you just smooth out the form and just turn the form, So I think you can play with, but the sculptural aspect of that education is really what makes it easier or more manageable to get those forms.
Totally. Are you using different mediums or anything to get that, like a stone difference or same lead white and stuff?
I would say this is just a texture dry to get that sense of the texture there. I would say not really. There's no special medium, just linseed oil and turpenoid.
Yeah, the same for the figures.
Oh, yeah,
same for the figures. Yeah,
for sure.
Here, there's something interesting happening here. Maybe tell us the title of this.
Aegis?
Yeah, Aegis. Yeah. So there's something wonderful happening here, which is like what appears to be both a narrative and painterly mark at the same time. Like this is maybe the clause of something, right?
Right.
So how, like I know
actually didn't think of it like that at all.
That's kind of how I'm reading it, which is fun. I stole that for a painting, actually. Yes,
really?
Yeah, for sure. It's like, wait, you can just the stroke itself can communicate all this. Yeah.
That's true.
Yes.
That's a good connection,
actually. Boom.
When I was painting this, I actually just cleaned my brush.
Yeah.
Like if there's too much impasto, I'll just spiral the brush and it left these marks, and I thought, oh, that looks cool.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
so it wasn't meant for that, but hey, if you're in the flow, stuff can like claw, scratch mark.
For sure. Yeah. No. Excellent.
But the female nude, I do like an erotic nude, but not so erotic that she's a sex symbol, right? But I like eroticism because it's part of the language of the figure. If not explicitly, unintentionally, if it's a naked person, you can't not think about some kind of eros.
Yeah.
But here, she's detached from us. This gesture of her just poking through her underarm, and of course the presence of these Gordon. They're like not gargoyles, but they're a sense like protectors. For sure. The grotesque protector.
Yeah. There's something else interesting that you do here that was more common in your older paintings, which is this sort of flowing from maybe more of a realistic color scheme and skin palette to the green. You did that in the foot washers very well. The feet washers, I guess. Yeah. So like you kind of moved away from that a bit, but it's still popping up. This like some realism of skin and others.
If it was all too green, you get sick to your stomach.
Yeah.
So the pink is really and the lavenders and the orange is really to counter the green.
Totally. And because there's a lot of figure painters today that just will do the whole monochrome thing.
Yes.
And so this is kind of what differentiates
monochrome
you.
Can be oppressive.
Yeah.
So you do have to like throw in its opposition. Even the shadows here are warm. That's just the grisaille, but I intentionally left the shadows warm because I'm like, too much green is gonna like make you feel sick.
Totally. So. Yeah. Something else really quick. I didn't even on the opening night. I didn't even notice how vibrant this blue was. So like only today with the sunlight bouncing around am I really getting it. It's really wonderful.
It's cerulean turquoise.
Nice. Cool. It matches your eyes. Good job.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe it's cooler in this room.
Yeah, just a little bit. All the bodies have been in here. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's crazy. Thanks you guys for like sticking it out, like with this hot.
Awesome.
Gallery.
I can be over here.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stand here.
Cool. Okay. So what's first an observation? You have a few panel paintings in here, and the rest are on linen, right?
Yes.
What's your thoughts on preference between panel and linen?
If I could just paint on just panel, I would.
Yeah.
Because linen, I do feel is nice, but it's so fragile. Like, you sell a painting, you have no idea if it's going to warp, if there's going to be a hole punctured through it. I don't like that.
Yeah.
If I had my choice, maybe I will eventually. I would just paint on panel.
Yeah.
But I like the hard surface, and you can see my gesso lines are very apparent. So it really creates a sense of the texture of the panel being incorporated in to some extent.
And something else you and Will have said previously is you had said that the gesso lines, which is like the priming of the panel first, you had the direction it's facing makes a difference, or the direction the strokes are going makes a difference. You had said previously that you liked when it's being dragged down, I guess.
Sure.
But this is horizontal. Is that anything? Is that just like by
chance?
chance?
I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
When I'm applying the gesso, I'll go both ways to
Yeah.
make a crisscross pattern. But if it's dominantly horizontal or dominantly vertical, I don't care.
Yeah, totally.
It does. However it works, it works.
Wonderful.
That's the cerulean turquoise again. This was a study I made a year ago for a larger painting.
I saw that.
That's
in
more
Houston.
finished.
Yeah.
And then this sat unfinished. A lot of paintings sit unfinished because I don't know if it's worthy of finishing, and then I'll tinker with it. You should make paintings in a way that you're like, don't know if it's ever going to work out.
Yeah.
Because then you're earnestly just searching. You're not like, okay, this is going to be a finished painting. You're just like, what is this? And then it just got finished. I was like, okay, I guess I'll put it in the show. But yeah, what is finished though?
Yeah,
I know it sounds so cheesy.
Well,
but
you have a process, right?
Yeah.
According to the Love Dogs video, where you have a very thought out series of images that you're kind of combining into a color study.
Right.
And then you have a very
Yeah,
playful
and this
color
is the
study.
color study.
And so sometimes even if the color study is awesome and you do it big, it's like, okay, this may not work. Right.
Right,
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah.
There's always there's always a line, or what's the word, you guys? Precipice. Thank you. Where you're just like dangling between destruction and making a great painting.
Totally. Yeah.
Always.
Totally. Great. Yeah.
But that's a good place to be, I think.
I have questions about creative process.
Yeah.
So like this composition, is this like the first iteration of this composition? Was this like little painting, or do you start as like even smaller like thumbnail
Doodles.
sketches? Does it
Little
depend?
line doodles, always,
Line doodles.
with a little, like, literally no fill, just line.
Do you ever just start a painting big and you're like, screw it, I have this image I like and I'm going to do it? Yeah.
I'll never do that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Without preparation,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, good.
The academic is too hardwired in me to just paint on. Maybe one day. But like now, no. I have to like have a system. Yeah. But in the moment, there can be, like, anything can happen in the moment. Like the baby's legs, like the resolution of that. The dogs, I didn't even know what color they were going to be. I knew they were generally pink, but there's a lot of random stuff that happens. Like the green transparencies on top of the dog's fur near the sun. Like that sun was supposed to be yellow and it turned green. Like stuff like that will happen totally just in the flow state. Or like the green lines going over these hands. Like there's this hand and then there's that hand. Those green lines. Just
Are you painting that line and redrawing in the wet layer?
And then saying, oh, that line looks good, I'll just leave it.
I'm a sucker for keeping the drawing in.
Yes, for sure. Like a little bit.
Keeping the drawing in a little bit, like a hint of the hand.
For sure.
Rather than totally filling in every line.
Yeah.
Or pentimento, the correction of a figure or form,
Exactly.
which is how they tell if a Michelangelo is real. Sometimes, if there's the right pentimento or correction,
For sure.
and the reproductions don't keep the corrections sometimes.
Yeah, I think that sense of jostle, especially for an academic artist like us. I'm looking at the GCA students here, but like everything's like frozen within contours.
Yes.
Sorry, yeah. What do you call it? The what?
Pentimento.
I mean,
the jostle quality is like that it's slightly being moved. Because if you're working academically, you're always working into a fixed contour. Things can get frozen. I mean, sometimes that's nice. Like Raphael's quite frozen, and so is Aang. There's a tradition for that. So I'm not so opposed to it, but sometimes I really don't want to be restricted into those contours. So like with the baby, I know babies move a lot, and of course maybe it's quoting Jenny Saville, but I was like, I should just give the baby more arms, so it looks more jostled.
Yeah. And you more hands too. You have another hand.
Do I? Right?
Oh, sorry.
You're so good.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
If I talk too much.
No, I meant to say Q&A the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, Q&A while we talk. Yeah.
Well, when I saw that, I thought it was like it gave movement.
It gave
it movement, and also
yeah.
I was thinking maybe a little shout out to women coming down the staircase to shop, right?
Oh, right,
yeah.
that's right.
Picasso.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, just a little shout out to like.
Shout out,
period,
like,
I know
yeah.
my modern
I think
history.
so, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like tight cropping, like, oh, this is cropped too. I mean, I think that is a shout out, for sure. And then we're all doing that, you know, because you feel like I should be part of a lineage, but not just one lineage, multiple lineages, right? Because I wouldn't want to just be like just a classical artist. You have to be a classical and a modern and a postmodern artist.
Yeah. So well, Colleen, yes. Yeah, so this is a reference.
Well,
that
I
you
have
used.
reference of me with my babies, but I just like have photos of me with, this is Athena, my daughter who's now 7 years old, but I have these photos and I will endlessly paint from them. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When you're making your paintings, all this body of work, to what degree are you thinking about how you and the work you make fit into some sort of canon, or like you think about how you might be historicized?
Oh, I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
All the fucking time. If
Yeah.
you're not thinking about it, life's too short. Don't pass by. Stake your claim. Like, really stake it. This is mine. And I was here. That's what art's for.
Yeah.
Like, really, truly, that's what art's for.
And do you see this body of work, because I can see how it could be part of a progression in the canon of art history?
Sure.
Sort of like a
That's so narcissistic, right?
Yeah.
But you have to have that delusion.
Yes.
You
Yes.
really do. And
Yeah.
even if it's a fucking delusion for your whole life, at least you had the fucking delusion, dude.
It feels good.
No, I'm
yeah.
serious.
No, I get it.
Like,
I see what you're
like
doing.
that's
Yeah.
iconophilia.
Yeah,
That you would
yeah.
love it so much that you say, Raphael's my papa, you know? Or like, I know Picasso. Like, we talk all the time. Actually, on ChatGPT, I have conversations with dead artists.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I'm not. So I did this once. I published one where I talked to Greenberg about modern art from the POV of someone that's not that does representational art, and I like talking.
Yeah.
But I do think that you should have the audacity to say, yeah, I'm part of a lineage. Even if I died unknown, I felt that I was part of a lineage.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's important. But it's very intimidating to be a figurative artist in that lineage.
We're gonna go this way.
Because the stakes are so high. The standards are so high.
Or are they?
Well,
Or I mean, right now or historically? Yeah.
well, no. If you're saying
I'm
that.
saying, are the standards that high
If you're
right now
saying that you
for
want to be
painting
in the lineage of
But
Picasso
she's saying historically,
or
yeah.
or Ang,
Right.
you're up against the best art,
Mhm.
and that's most people would be like, this is too hard. I can't compete with these people, right?
Right. Yeah.
So-
I mean, there's also maybe like art market wise, there's like a place for atelier people to go do their thing, and then there's fine art more broadly. And people do break out of those things, of course, but you are the main one in my mind that's like right now doing that in an interesting way. And you did have to abandon some of your
I did.
proclivities and whatnot.
Oh,
and so forth.
if you look at older work of mine, you'd know. Like,
Yeah.
she's definitely changed. I mean, of course, there's remnants, but I also study contemporary art. Like, I have obsessions. Like, I was obsessed with Izzy Wood for maybe 2 years. Do you know her work? Izzy Wood.
Yeah.
It's not with a Z. ISSY Wood. So I like that she was just she just painted anything.
Yeah.
She'll literally paint anything, and she's she's a very good painter. So I was like, when I feel restricted by, I always have to paint a nude, or I'll look at Izzy Wood and be like, she'll paint anything. She inspired that painting of the self-portrait over there.
Right. Yeah.
Because she paints herself with face masks. And I was like, oh, this is too quoting if I do this. But actually, when I put the face mask on, I was thinking of Bob Dylan in the Desire tour. He was always wearing his white paint. So I was putting the face mask on as a facial, but then I was thinking about Bob Dylan and his white paint that he was always putting on his face during the 1970s Desire. He was on tour. I think it was Desire, right? I don't know if you know Bob Dylan, but so, and then I took a selfie, and I was like in the bathroom, and I just took the selfie, and I just thought, oh, this is very Izzy Wood, isn't it? Okay, I'm not going to paint this because it's too quoting her. But then after a while, I needed to get more paintings for the show, and I just said, fuck it, this looks cool. I'm going to paint this, and I added those little like monkey things which are like, I don't know what they represent. Maybe they represent like thoughts
right.
or something.
Well, in a way to not be referential of the image is to ignore, what it does and how it's been proliferating, right? So like you're kind of rolling with the punches. That is, we are inundated with images.
We are.
Yeah, and so like, okay, here they are as I see them on my picture
so I'm looking at my screen.
I'm
looking at Izzy Wood. I'm looking at, the stone aspect of it is that it looks statuesque. Mm-hmm. So I was looking at statues, facial statues for the form, because the photo was flattened. So I needed to look at. So I think that multiplicity as a modern person, the multiplicity and like not trying to shun yourself from seeing so many images because it is just our life, but then consolidating it into
making something coherent. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Even if ambiguous. Yeah. So your dog's in this one.
This is my dog Bear, which I duplicated. He's a Pomeranian, and he looks really good in art. And I definitely need to make like a painting of just Bear for the next show because he's so handsome. And this is Morgan, my muse, who was here at the opening, and she poses for me all the time.
And is in a lot of these other paintings.
She's in all the figures are of Morgan.
Yeah.
I'll change her skin color, of course. This is going to be a bigger painting. I know that. I'm going to enlarge it because I really like the pink dog, and I think there's something about her that reminds me of like a Picasso or something. I don't know, but it needs to be a bigger painting. So that's the next project.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to this one. Yeah. Yeah, no problem.
I hope we're making good time.
Maybe.
I'm like sweating. Oh my God.
We have one more after this. So something. Okay, we have the return of small. Tell us the name of this.
Orijo?
Yeah, Orijo. So we have the return of some small figures again, in a really fun way, and this repetition of the forms of animals, and again some more pentimento perhaps, an underpainting, or maybe you decided you needed that extra line afterwards. Yeah. And you have a very different brush stroke happening here too, that makes this one of my favorites, and not just because of that, but just a lot of things. But like what's going on here?
Well, there was so much of this green around with all the other paintings. I felt like when I didn't have that green, it wasn't speaking to other paintings.
Totally.
So I just arbitrarily went in there, like one of the last days that I worked on it, and I just swooped.
Totally.
I did some like swooshy things.
Yeah.
And it worked. I was like, okay. Because it was just these reds were so left dominant.
Totally.
So the green helped to like counter the reds that were on the left side.
Totally. Yeah. Wonderful. And we have these great strokes again. Which is this like dry? Is this scumbled on, or is that the underpainting?
Well, what's cool is that this is the underpainting.
Yeah.
Or not the underpainting. This is the primer.
I see.
So when you paint on a luminous ground and it's really yellow or bright, then every subsequent layer is a darkening layer. But if you just leave out those little bits, they become the most luminous parts, and I love that. I just think it's like such a fun little play.
Totally,
of texture, and this is another painting that took 2 years that I tinkered with while the other works are being created, and it was a study as well beforehand, and then I just blew it up basically. Very symbolic, not photographic at all.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. And you're doing something that you did maybe more. I actually can't recall the other ones right now, but this sort of border, this image was inside the frame. Yeah, maybe you mentioned what.
If you don't frame your work, I don't frame my work. Yeah. It's a frame that it just frames it, and it just looks like an old photograph, or has that, even an etching. Yeah. Old etchings have that pressed-in edge.
And you'll never paint over that. This is the underpainting.
Yeah, that's the primer.
That you somehow avoid going over.
I don't know how, but not every painting has that. But I do like that just once in a while. Just for a fun little gimmick or whatever.
Right, yeah. No, very well.
Any questions about Orijo before we move on?
Not specifically about that, but I do have one. You mentioned this also when we were talking about the first painting, how it took you like a number of years to complete it, and there's a tinkering process. And it's so funny to hear that, because I always thought, you're the kind of artist that does studies, then that just makes it so that you're not going to be tinkering.
Yeah, I know. Like an insurance policy.
So I was wondering, how much of the study is this?
I wish I had the study, because I could show you how much it changed, and it does change. Yeah. There will always be an arbitrary, momentary, change that just has to happen with the larger work.
So the green wasn't here, for instance. No.
So I just think we have to be open to that. But for the basic planning of it, the study will aid you. But you have to be moved by the spirit in the moment.
Were the little characters in the study?
They were.
What year did you feel like the study helped you with, and what?
The basic cropping.
Basic cropping.
And the sense of where things need to be in the order of things. Those big things do not change, but little things, little colors, little impastos, or throw in a new color.
What you're revealing even is not in the study.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think that, but for placement and for building up a rapport, because you want to have, like with your picture, at least for a big picture, a sense of like rapport, that you've built up a relationship with this picture. And by the time you're like finishing it, you guys are like best friends, or maybe you're enemies now, but at least you're like, you know each other, you know, and the study really helps you to know each other along the way. Yeah.
You mentioned images and paintings that are like symbolic versus representational, or like on a scale like that.
Yeah.
One thing that I think about a lot as painters, our work is very often first, or maybe even only experienced by people through a screen.
Yes.
At the size of a business
Oh my
card
God.
on a phone. Like, even if they see it at your studio at a fair or whatever, 99% of people see it as a JPEG.
Yeah.
Right? I'm curious what your thoughts are on painting things that are directly representational versus like clearly painted and like really diverging from the photograph in a way that's reasonable in an era where most images are being consumed.
I know.
Really small and flat.
Yeah, I think. Well, you know what? I was writing another Substack, and I was critiquing art that's like legible on the Instagram. But then I was like, but no, like I want my art to be legible on Instagram. Like I do.
Yeah.
I want it to grab you, and if it's representational art, then I think that's part of the job. So I think we do want to seduce, but I do think that the symbolism of like a William Blake versus a realist. Who's a realist I could talk about? Like a really realist, like a photorealist.
Bourgeois? No.
No, like early, like more contemporary. I don't really look at, besides Izzy Wood, I don't really look at realist art.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah. Well, you know, like if you're looking, maybe Nelson Shanks, but he works from life mostly, right? But most people are working from photos, and I'm working from photos. But like photo art, I'm not into photo art. Like
so, like hyperrealism.
Yeah, like so I work from photos, but I don't really like when the painting looks like a photo, right? But I do like the photo. Like I do. Yes, exactly. And I think I don't know that many of them because I don't look at their work that much. But anyway,
hate them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's always a war. Like for the self-portrait, I wanted it to look like me. I had to obey the photo. I transferred and projected the photo, right? But and I knew this better look like Colleen. Like it has to. But I think that little arbitrary changes along the way make it look more like a symbolic painting at the same time. And I think we have to just abstract enough that there's that duality. But that's just for me. Like Izzy Wood, I keep bringing her up. Maybe she's still my obsession, but she is working from magazine cutouts, web photographs, and she says she works from her phone. She, in her recent podcast, she literally works on huge paint, and she's just painting from her phone. I think it's bullshit because I think she's projecting, and she probably has printouts somewhere.
Okay.
So either way, if she's working from her phone, I think she's doing a really good job at making the photograph look velvety and beautiful, and not like a slick photo. What do you think? Do you think that?
I don't think she's projecting. Maybe she is.
Oh.
I haven't seen her big work in person. So
well, either way, there is a way to work from photos and not make it look too slick.
Yeah.
And we should
try I thought she was oil transferring or something. But no, she's probably projecting. Yeah. Right.
Who knows?
Yeah. Many such cases. Yeah.
Yeah.
Colleen, don't you think, excuse me.
Of course.
You're working from life you work from life.
Oh, but I exclusively worked from life for like over 10 years.
You did your 30,000.
No, that's not true. When I was a teenager, I worked from photos, like everybody. I worked from cutout magazine photos of like celebrities. Like Winona Ryder, she was like hot, you know, and then at that time, this was the 90s, but Ethan Hawke, like the celebrities of my day, I was drawing them in my bedroom. But I also was looking at Raphael and drawing like little like nudes and stuff. So I feel like I've always been bouncing back and forth between photos and conventional thought. Yeah.
Follow up there?
Yeah, Issy says she does not use a projector. Projectors are cheating.
Let's go.
But I think that's bullshit.
She told me to tell you that.
Oh, wait, what? No, you're not.
Live chat.
I fucking love that.
Iconic. Good.
That's amazing. Okay. Well, I'll tell her. I don't project my photos. I use oil transfers from an analog, like a drawing that I blow up. And it's like, you guys ever do this? It's a transfer drawing where you have a piece of paper and you put oil paint on the back and you lay it on and then you redraw it. That's how I transfer. She probably doesn't give a shit, but whatever. Yeah. It's like she does.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay.
You use oil on transfer?
I use oil transfers. Yeah. It's an old way. It's like it's not pouncing. You know, the Renaissance they would have like taken their drawing and then put little dots and then put charcoal powder in there.
Yeah.
But this is a way that you have your big piece of paper, you have oil on the back that's wet, and you lay it down, and then you redraw all the lines.
Don't try that in a small space.
Wow.
Yeah, go for it.
I came from like a really rural town where the arts education I had was very craft-based. Part of that was like, okay, what you do with your hands, and also you got to know your history. So it ends up being a lot of Raphael classical stuff. But eventually that comes back around, and I see this in your work, to really knowing the history of painting in New York and engaging in a lot of those ideas. And I see specifically here, they talk about imagery, Paglia, kind of empire, ancient things, a lot of 80s. And
I love 80s.
Dealing with.
Did you say 80s?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes. You know,
of course.
Guys, like,
well, we're products of like.
They're very theory-driven, very wordy. What would be taken from that? What do you discard? What do you think is
I would say from the 80s or just from everything?
Just that world, that idea of being responsible for history and including like contemporary.
Because I was raised in Manhattan. I can't deny that I don't worship celebrity and beauty products and Botox and all the stuff and all the celebrity. Like, we're obsessed. I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to be obsessed, but my stupid phone, when I ever go and search, I'm looking at celebrities all day. It's horrible. I mean, I don't want to be, but I do love to look at celebrities. So I think that with the 1980s in particular, of course, like Madonna, this is why I painted Madonna in there. I know it sounds like very on the nose to do that, but like, pop culture is an undeniable force, and the pop culture is tapping into an ancient language. It's just that we can't worship Billie Eilish because she's not going to give us a reverential feedback like a religion would, right? So that's a whole other topic of conversation, but it's still the same impetus that we have to love and adore.
Going back to modernity is not as secular or modern as we thought.
It's not. Yeah. And I'm just really quoting Camille Paglia and saying that, but I do know it's true. So I think we can incorporate the modern time quite easily, actually, just by living in it and thinking about it, but weaving it into older archetypes. So I was saying, if you want your work to look outside the time, just think of archetypes. Don't be afraid to think of archetypes. Like that Morgan posed for me, but this isn't Morgan, right?
Yeah.
She could be a fertility goddess or something.
Yeah.
But that type of thinking is a way to transport the work out of now, so it doesn't feel like 2026. Because you know when you see 1980s art, well, maybe not like Basquiat or whatever, because he's like so cool, right? Because I like that his work looks that way. But if it's figurative, sometimes figurative work can look really outdated in like 20 years, right? If it's really anecdotal of its time. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like even the late Nelson Shanks, his work really reminds me of the early 2000s, 90s. You know, I love his work, but you know what I'm saying. Like, so anyway.
Yeah, wonderful. We could take like 2 or 3 more questions. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Well, I do. Can we have someone who hasn't said anything? Yeah.
Speaking of archetypes, I've noticed whether it's at the new museum or the Whitney, it's sort of like exploration of a fragment itself as sort of like a new idea of how we're thinking about ourselves. And I know you mentioned briefly about mythology, and I can't help but see amongst all of that very like Dionysian archetype in the sense of like hybridization with the dogs, reversal of authority with like Madonna figurizations, the Bacchae elements with the women,
for sure,
the use of like neon colors and whatnot. And I was just wondering if like, you know, that story of like, you know, Dionysus, his ethos in terms of like losing yourself in movement and music, if that played an idea.
Oh, absolutely.
Working when you were like making these?
Well, because the thing is, the way I was trained is so Apollonian, it's oppressive. If you live in Apollo's world, everything's frozen, solid, perfect, right? Like you don't want to like touch anything because it's like everything's constructed in a very meticulous way. Dionysus doesn't care. Tracy Emin is like the Dionysus queen, right? She is like living Dionysus, chaos, and she's just, it's all over her art and her personality, and that's her thing. And like I feel like we have to be in both of those realms, and that's why when you're making a painting, you really don't know how it's going to go, and that's okay. That's the law of nature, is that there's so many unknowns, and it's good to be in a place. At least for me, I'm always in a questioning place, not in an answer place. Always.
Well, it's maybe bad to say that your painting does something that doesn't do it, right? So it's like hard to posit that, I'm going to change the world with this, right? Yeah.
But at the same time, your craft end and knowing your craft, like a pianist would be able to just knows it as an auto response in their limbs. Painting can be an auto response for us, but we need to build up the craft for representational painting. We'd have to build up the craft enough so that the auto response can allow for improv and an observed, more Apollonian process, so they're both working in tandem.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you expect people to know that the symbols in your work are more interpretive than maybe they let on? I mean, when I'm seeing this work, I always think that there's something that I don't know, something that I'm missing that's like,
right.
You know?
That's probably what I don't know. What you're seeing, you don't know. I don't know either.
Exactly. So actually, you're like, there's kind of like there's something behind this.
But there is.
Like, there is.
Yes, for sure.
So I guess
it's so true.
Like, did you? Expect the audience to know that?
Well, can I say, like with dogs, someone would be like, "Why do you think dogs?" Dogs just look really good in paintings. I do like dogs, but they do just look good in paintings.
Well.
And I got to this point where I was like always doing figures. There was no animals, and I was like, something feels off. Because you see these old master paintings or a Picasso, you'll have like a boy with a horse, and so I was like, dogs just work in paintings. Okay, I'll just use dogs. But then you're like, oh wait, the dog is supposed to be a feral symbol. And oh wait, we did evolve alongside canines. Yeah, and then you could like read into it so much more.
So
but
I'm reading into it that they're protector.
Or protector, and like, so what's nice is that about the process of being like open is that you could start by saying, I need a pictorial element that just looks good with a figure, and then you pick a dog, and then there's more meaning that's uncovered as you do that. But the meaning doesn't come first a lot of the time. It's just, I need something for this corner of the painting.
Yeah, it's okay to stumble through things.
In a place where in this environment, when we are like still worshiping the plaque, I think a little bit, it can feel kind of jarring to hear something like that because it's like, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm supposed to be fed the interpretation rather than receive it.
Right. Okay, this definitely flips that on its head.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Awe predates critique, and if a painting needs a plaque, then it's probably something that's missing in it because it shouldn't need the plaque, the description, 100%. At least for representational art. I think, but that's too controversial. To
I mean, sometimes some context is nice, but like I agree, it's more
like all of this is context. So this is nice, right?
Yeah.
To hear it.
Yeah.
But like it does, if you have questions and you're like, oh my God, what does that mean? I have those same questions too. Like for the self-portrait, when I put those monkeys in there, that's called Patrine, that self-portrait, and I remember I was on Procreate. I used Procreate, and I had my self-portrait, and then I'm like, I have all this archaeological stuff in my folder, my Pinterest folder, so I threw in the monkey, and I was like, how am I going to make this work? It's too singular, and I just like put clone mode,
Yeah, copy and pasted,
And I literally just cloned it, and I was like, oh, it's my thoughts, okay. It's my Substacks or whatever. So anyway, meaning can start out as arbitrary and turn into something more significant. That's basically what I'm saying.
For sure. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, and that's fun when that happens. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I think we're out of time.
Thank you. Thank you, Noah.
Great. Good job.
I can't believe we all sweated it out.
I know. Oh my God.
What time is it?